So in this video we're going to read about the male reproductive organs, which is a part of the reproductive system. So first of all, reproduction is a process by which organisms can produce the young ones of their own kind for the continuation of its race. Human beings are unisexual or dioecious. It means that the male and female reproductive organs, they are found on separate individuals, and the primary sex organs are testes in male and ovary in female. The growth of these primary sex organs, it is controlled by gonadotropins, which is secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. Now, gonadotropins are TSH and LH. It means thyroid stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So first of all, we will be reading about the male reproductive organs. This is one of the most asked and one of the most important questions for 8 marks. So while writing about the male reproductive organs, we need to write about the 7 things. We need to write point wise. So all the 7 things I'm going to mention it. The male reproductive organs are, first of all, testis. Okay, then comes epididymis. Then we have the vas deferens, and then we have the ejaculatory duct. Then we have the urethra. Then comes penis, and finally there are accessory glands. There are 3 accessory glands: the seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and the Cooper's glands. Means they are seminal vesicles, their prostate gland, and their Cooper's gland. Now we need to write about each of this in detail. Except the testis, we can write only 4 or 5 lines about each of this, and that will be enough. First of all, we need to draw a figure, and about the testis we need to explain in detail. So let us draw the figure first of all, and then we'll go for the testis. So while drawing the figure, we need to remember, first of all, we need to make the urinary bladder. Okay, so this is our urinary bladder, and this is the ureter through which the urine enters inside the urinary bladder to be stored from the kidney. There are the 2 ureters, right and left. Now what happens is that this ureter, this opens into the urethra, we know this. Okay, and the urethra, it goes towards the penis, from where micturition occurs. So while making this, remember that first of all we need to make here seminal vesicles. Seminal vesicles are somewhat small pouch like structure on the either side of the urinary bladder. They are seminal vesicles, and they open into this vas deferens is here. These both of the ducts open into the ejaculatory duct, which is this. So this was just a rough figure. I'll draw a fair figure just to make you understand. So first of all, draw urinary bladder. Ureter is here from both of the kidneys. Okay, and then just open it till here and draw 2 seminal vesicles. Draw a duct and draw a seminal vesicle on this side, and again draw a duct and draw a seminal vesicle. Now you need to make a loop around this. Okay, both of the seminal vesicles open into an ejaculatory duct, and before the ejaculatory duct comes the vas deferens, which makes a loop around the ureter. While writing about each of the organs, I'll be telling you about this. First of all, we are just making a figure roughly. So make a loop around it and then open it into the urethra, both the ducts, and then go forward. And while drawing the penis, draw an tissue like structure, somewhat like this. Okay, now this will be our erectile tissue. Now make a fold of skin as well. This is the outer skin. It's just a rough figure, when you need to make it fairly. And then draw the scrotum, okay, inside which the testis is lying. Now above the testis are the epididymis, and then from here join the seminal vesicles here. Draw the same thing on this side as well, scrotum, testis, epididymis, and join this. And now just the glands, make a gland here and make a gland here. So this is just a rough figure, and then we need to name the figure. This is our urinary bladder, this is the seminal vesicles. This gland which we made, it is known as the prostate gland. This gland which we made, it is known as the Cooper's gland. This is the testis. These are the tissues which are known as erectile tissues, because it erect the penis. So erectile tissues. And then this is our penis, and this is seminal vesicles. Sorry, this is a vast difference. And here this both the ducts open into an ejaculatory duct. So this is our ejaculatory duct, and then we have our ureter out here. This is our urethra. Yeah, here epididymis is there. I need to remember the names. Okay, there is no any alternate for this. So this is just a rough figure. While making a fair figure, you need to make the figure somehow like this. This is the figure of the male reproductive organ. You can see a urinary bladder and two ureters. The urinary bladder opens into the urethra, into which the duct of both the seminal vesicles along with the vast difference they open, and here the point where they open, this is known as ejaculatory duct. Both the open and form the ejaculatory duct which open into the urethra. It later on goes to the penis. Now seminal vesicles, they go to the epididymis, which is lying above the testis inside the scrotum, and there are erectile tissues inside the penis. That's all about the male reproductive organs figure. And now we'll go for each of the organs point wise. So first of all, we'll go for the testis. So testis, they are the primary sex organs in the male. Again, as usual, I'm going to write it point wise. If you write it in paragraph, it will be much better. So it is the primary sex organs, and they are paired somewhat pinkish in color. Okay, when we see, it is pinkish in color. They are oval bodies, and they are about 4.5 cm long, and they are about 2.5 cm wide. This is just the basic external structure of the testis. And now these testes, they lie inside the scrotum. It lies inside the sac which is known as scrotal sac or scrotum. Okay, now why these scrotal sacs are situated outside the abdominal cavity? It means outside the body, because it should be at a temperature range of about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius below the body temperature. It means the normal body temperature inside the body, the normal temperature about 37 degrees Celsius. The temperature of the testis should be around 2 to 3 degrees Celsius less than this. Only then the sperms can be produced, because rise in temperature, they can kill the spermatogenetic tissues, and then the sperms will not be created. So they lie inside the scrotum, which is lying outside the body, which is 2 to 3 degrees Celsius below the body temperature. So rise in temperature may kill the spermatogenetic tissue. That's all about the external structure of the testis. But this is not enough. I told you about testis, we need to write in detail. So now we'll also write about the internal structure of the testis. So before going on to the microscopic structure of the testis, we'll be learning about the scrotal sac. So this is a scrotal sac inside which a testis is lying, which is holded by some of the fibers, above which the epididymis is lying, and then the seminal vesicles goes up. This is one scrotum. Okay, this is the epididymis. They are the fibrous tissues by which the testes are held inside the scrotum. This is the scrotum, this is the testis, and these are the vas deferens, which go towards the seminal vesicle. Now first of all, this scrotum, it is filled with a fluid which is known as hydrocele. Remember the name, it is filled by a fluid known as hydrocele. Now what is the use of this hydrocele? They just keep the environment moist inside the scrotum. So it is filled with a fluid known as hydrocele. Now the testis, it is held inside the scrotum by a fibrous tissue which is known as spermatic cord, or easily you can call it gubernaculum. It is gubernaculum. Okay, spelling is Gubernaculum. This is gubernaculum, or you can call it spermatic cord. It will be easier to understand. Now we'll go for the protective layers of the testis. These testis, they are protected by 3 layers. It means this testis, it is surrounded by 3 layers which protects the testis. Now these 3 layers are, first of all, tunica vaginalis. If you read it twice or thrice, you will remember the name. So tunica vaginalis, which is the outer covering, and below the tunica vaginalis lies the tunica albuginea. Now this tunica albuginea, it is a fibrous layer, and below the tunica albuginea lies the tunica vasculosa. Now this tunica vasculosa, it consists of blood capillaries. We just need to mention the names of this. It means first we'll write about the external structure of the testis, then we'll write about the scrotum. It is filled with hydrocele, and spermatic cord holds the testis, and then we'll write that there are 3 protective layers of testis, which are these 3, and then we'll give a short heading which is known as microscopic structure of the testis. So we're moving on for microscopic structure of the testis. So for this, again, I need to make a rough figure to make you understand. Okay, so first of all, this is a testis. Okay, and it is surrounded by epididymis. Let's make epididymis in microscopic view as well. Actually, epididymis, it is a very long convoluted, it means coiled tube. Okay, this is a tube, very long coiled tube. If you see the figure, it will be somehow like this. It is a very long coiled tube. So it opens into the testis. Now again it goes outwards and it forms the vas deferens. Now this testis, it is covered by a layer which is known as tunica vaginalis, the outer covering. Okay, the outer covering of the testis. Now what happens is that this is tunica vaginalis, this is epididymis, this is the vas deferens, and inside the testis there are many lobules inside the testis. It means histologically each testis, it is divided into testicular lobules by septa. Septa means the tissue that differentiates the 2 areas. It means the separation. So see, inside this it is divided into many lobules. Okay, now inside these lobules there lies seminiferous tubules. It means that these tubules, they come inside and they form the seminiferous tubules. Now these seminiferous tubules, they are actually lined by, if you enlarge a seminiferous tubule, it is lined by germinal epithelium. Now what is the use of germinal epithelium? The germinal epithelium, it helps in spermatogenesis. It means that it helps in production of sperms. So the production of sperm takes place inside this seminiferous tubules, which are lined by the germinal epithelium. Now basically these germinal epithelium, they consist of 2 types of cells. One is spermatogenic cell, which simply helps in spermatogenesis, which produces spermatozoa or sperms. And then another type of cell is known as Sertoli cells. Now these Sertoli cells, they play the role of supplying nourishment to the developing sperms. So they are also called nurse cells or supporting cells. It means that it provides nourishment to the sperms which are created here. These are 2 types of cells in the germinal epithelium: spermatogenic cells and Sertoli cells. Along with these 2, there lies Leydig cells also. Now these Leydig cells, they lie between these the seminiferous tubules. See, seminiferous tubules is in the structure of this, and in between them, in the lobule, there lies Leydig cells. Now the role of these Leydig cells or interstitial cells, it produces the secondary sex hormone which is known as androgen or testosterone. It helps in determination of the secondary sexual characteristics of man. It means it produces the male sex hormone androgen, or which is also known as testosterone. It helps in the development of the male accessory glands. It controls the secondary sexual characteristics such as development of a mustache and development of beard, the change of voice. These are actually, it was discovered by Franz von Leydig, so it is known as Leydig cells, but the basic name of it is interstitial cells because it lies in the interstitial fluid between the seminiferous tubules. Now that was the microscopic structure of testis. If you want to make the structure clearly, you can see this figure as well. Here the epididymis is there. Now about this I'm going to tell you later on. First of all, see this testis. Inside this testis, lobules are divided, inside which the seminiferous tubules lies. The seminiferous tubules are lined with the germinal epithelium which produces the sperms. Germinal epithelium has two types of cells: spermatogenic cells and Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells, they help in providing nourishment to the sperms, and between them lies the Leydig cells. These Leydig cells control the secondary sexual characteristics by production of androgens or testosterone. Now that's all about the microscopic structure of testis, and with this we end the testis. Okay, first of all external structure, then about the scrotum, and then the protective layers, and finally the microscopic structure. Now we are heading on for the epididymis. The upcoming topics are very short. We need to write just 2-3 lines or maximum 5 lines about each of them. Just the testis was in detail. So basically epididymis, we saw the structure of epididymis. It is actually a highly convoluted tube. Means if you see the structure of epididymis, it is a highly convoluted tube, and if you measure the length by uncoiling it, it will be about 6 meters in length. Imagine 6 meters length. It lies outside the testis and partially covering the testis. Partially covering. It is not completely encircling the testis, it is just partially encircling the testis, and it is made up of compact mass of these ductules, and it is known as vasa recta. These ductules are known as vasa recta. Even here they are known as vasa recta, and some of are the efferent ductules. The efferent ductules which come from the kidney and other parts of the body, so they are formed of vasa recta and efferent ductules. They are just small coiled tubules. These are the small coiled tubules inside these, which are known as vasa recta and efferent ductules. Now actually we just need to write this much and the 3 parts of the epididymis. So epididymis is divided into 3 following parts. The first is caput epididymis. Now caput epididymis, it is the anterior part of the epididymis which receives the efferent ductules. Now see, what is this? The seminiferous tubules are here. They secrete the sperm goes here, and then it goes inside this. It means the sperm goes inside the vasa recta of the epididymis, and these vessels which take the sperm inside the epididymis, they are known as efferent ductules, because they carry the sperm towards the epididymis, so they are known as efferent. So they take the sperm towards the head of the epididymis, which is known as caput epididymis. Basically the 3 layers are caput epididymis, corpus epididymis, and cauda epididymis. There is nothing much about this. It is just that this anterior part is known as caput epididymis, this middle part is known as corpus epididymis, and this posterior part which opens into the vas deferens, it is known as cauda epididymis. And that's all about the epididymis. If you want to write about it, just write that it is 6 meters in length. It's partially encircling the testis. It's formed of vasa recta and efferent ductules. The efferent ductules carry the sperm into the head of the epididymis, and it is divided into 3 layers: caput epididymis, corpus epididymis, and cauda epididymis. Now the function of this epididymis is just to store the sperms, and it secretes a fluid which nourishes the sperms. Its function is only that, to store and nourish the sperms, and later on the sperms are carried towards the vas deferens, which come from the posterior end of the chorda epididymis. So vas deferens, it is also known as seminal duct because it carries the sperm towards the urethra. So we just need to write about the structure of the vas deferens here, the external structure. It is very thick walled. The vasa recta which are present inside the epididymis, they are very thin walled, but the vas deferens which emerges out, it is very thick walled. It is about 40 cm in length, and it emerges from the chorda epididymis. It emerges from the chorda epididymis, and then it ascends into the abdominal cavity. So if you see the figure, it emerges from the chorda epididymis and then it is ascending into the abdominal cavity, and then it forms a loop around the ureter, and then it joins the duct of the seminal vesicle to form the ejaculatory duct. So while writing about this, we'll just write that it is also known as seminal duct. It is thick walled, it is 40 cm in length, it emerges from the chorda epididymis and ascends into the abdominal cavity. It forms a loop around the ureter. You can see in the figure as well, it goes and forms a loop around the ureter, and then it joins the duct of seminal vesicle. You can see it is joining the duct of seminal vesicle. These are the seminal vesicles, its duct, and joins the duct of seminal vesicle and forms the ejaculatory duct. This small part is known as ejaculatory duct. It means it forms ejaculatory duct, and this ejaculatory duct later on opens into the urethra. It means that it later on opens into the urethra, which carries the sperm towards the penis. It means that vas deferens carries the sperms from the testis to the urethra, and that's all about the vas deferens. Just few lines, it's easy to remember, very easy. If you draw the figure, we just need to write about it, and then we are going for the ejaculatory duct. So till now you must have understood what is an ejaculatory duct. It is just the short tube of nearly 2 cm length, which is formed by the union of the duct of the seminal vesicle and a vas deferens. It means it is formed by the union of duct of seminal vesicle and the vas deferens, and these carry the mixture of the sperms and the secretion of the seminal vesicle. The secretion of the seminal vesicle, I'll be telling you about it in the accessory glands. So for now, just remember that it carries the sperms and the secretion of the seminal vesicles to the urethra. So that's all about the ejaculatory duct. That's hardly 3 lines, and then we'll go for the urethra. So urethra, it is a tube of about 20 cm long, which is arising from the urinary bladder. It is a common tube for the discharge of both urine and semen. It means it arises from the urinary bladder, and it is a common tube for the discharge of both semen as well as urine. If you see the structure, it's just that this ejaculatory duct, they open inside the urethra. The urethra is coming from the urinary bladder, so it opens inside the penis, and it carries both the semen and the urine towards the penis. And with this we go towards the penis, which is our 6th reproductive organ. So while writing about the penis, we need to write about the erectile tissues which are present inside the penis. While you see the figure, you can see that there are erectile tissues present inside the penis, and when we draw the ventral view of the penis, then we can see that the view will be somewhat like this. Though you not need to draw this figure in the examination, I'm just showing you this for your explanation. So first we'll write about the erectile tissues. So while writing about this, we'll write that it is an erectable organ first of all, and it is highly muscular organ. Okay, and it is used for copulation. So it is an erectable, highly muscular organ which is used for copulation, and it is composed of 3 columns of erectile tissues. Now remember, it is made of 3 columns of erectile tissues. Now two of the three columns are dorsolateral. Now what that means is that if this is the penis, then these are the lateral sides, this is the ventral view. Okay, so leave this ventral side, so this lateral and the behind one side. Okay, so behind one side and this lateral, so dorsolateral, that's called dorsolateral. The two of the tissues, they are dorsolateral. It means they're present on both the lateral sides and the dorsal side, behind one side, not in this ventral side. So two are dorsolateral. It means two of the three are dorsolateral, which is known as corpora cavernosa. So it is known as corpora cavernosa, and one, it is ventral, which is known as corpus spongiosum. Now you need to remember the name. If you see the figure, you will be seeing that these two lateral sides, they are known as corpus cavernosa, and the middle one part, it is known as corpus spongiosum. It means ventral part. Now you need to remember the name cavernosa and spongiosum. Now the tip part of the penis, it slightly enlarges. It means it slightly enlarges to form a glans penis. It is known as glans penis, which is highly sensitive. It is very, very sensitive, known as glans penis. And this glans penis, it is enveloped by a fold of skin, which is known as prepuce. So pretty simple. It's just composed of 3 columns of erectile tissues, the 2 dorsolateral corpora cavernosa and 1 ventral corpus spongiosum. The tip part is slightly enlarged to form the glans penis, which is highly sensitive, and it is enveloped by a fold of skin called prepuce. And the erection of the penis, actually it is due to the rush of arterial blood into the sinuses of this corpus spongiosum. It means that blood rushes into the corpus spongiosum, and then the penis is enlarged. And the function of the penis, it is to deposit the semen into the vagina, and also it is used for maturation. It means the urination. So these two are the major functions of the penis, and with this we complete our organs, the male reproductive organs. And the left one are the accessory organs. It means accessory glands, which help in the reproduction as well. So among the accessory glands, first come the seminal vesicles. Now we know the seminal vesicles, they are just fibrous muscular pouches. The fibrous muscular pouches which are lying on the dorsal side of the, it means the posterior side of the urinary bladder. Now here comes a controversy. I said to you that it is, in the figure we saw that it is lying downwards to the urinary bladder, but we are writing that it is lying in the posterior side of the urinary bladder. So see, it actually lies in the posterior side of the urinary bladder. It means that behind this urinary bladder. But if we draw the figure, we cannot make it, because behind this urinary bladder we cannot, it's not a 3D figure. So we make slightly below the urinary bladder just to show this, and but it lies actually behind or in the posterior side of the urinary bladder. Okay, and it opens into the ejaculatory duct by a small duct. It means that, see, it's small duct, it opens into the ejaculatory duct. It means that it opens in the ejaculatory duct. And these are all the basic things which we come to know after seeing the figure. So there's not much thing to remember, just see the figure and write about it. Now just the function of the seminal vesicles. Now see, there are 2 parts. Even if you write a simple and a single line about this, that will be enough. But if you want to write in detail about it, then I'll tell you even that. Now see, the simple line is that it just secretes and expels a viscous fluid. It means that it secretes a viscous fluid which helps to keep the sperms alive. And even if you write this much, that will be enough about it. So viscous fluid that keeps the sperms alive. But in detail if you write, then it secretes a yellowish and alkaline fluid. which contains two elements, fructose and prostaglandins. Okay, it secretes a yellowish and alkaline fluid which contains fructose and prostaglandins. Now this fructose, it provides energy to the sperms which help it in swimming in the vagina and the fallopian tubes. It helps in swimming, it provides energy. And prostaglandins, it helps in contraction of the vagina. It helps in contraction of vagina, due to which the fusion of gametes is easier. Okay, so fusion of gametes become easier because prostaglandins, they contract the vagina. So this is the detailed one and this is the easier one. You can write any. And one extra information I want to give you about the fructose, that fructose, it is not produced in the body anywhere except the seminal vesicles. So it provides a forensic test in some cases like rape cases. Okay, while the test of rape is carried on, then we test for the fructose, because the fructose is not produced anywhere else in the body, it is only produced by the seminal vesicles. And that's all about the seminal vesicles. You can choose either of the paths. And now we're heading on for the prostate gland. Now again, there is not much to tell about prostate gland. It's a gland which is lying behind the urinary bladder as well. Again, we drew it below, but actually it is lying behind the urinary bladder at the level of seminal vesicles actually. So it is lying behind the urinary bladder and it secretes the semen. Now this semen, it helps in mobility of the sperms. It means that it helps in moving the sperm and it nourishes the sperms as well. Again, even if you write this much, that will be enough, but for detail I'll tell you that this semen, it consists of lipids, it consists of bicarbonate ions, and it also consists of some amount of citric acid, and it contributes to 15 to 30% of the total volume of the semen. These ions, they contribute to 15 to 30% of the total volume of semen. The rest of the thing, it is acid. It is, and this semen is slightly acidic in nature. Okay, so the secretion of the vagina, it is alkaline in nature, and the secretion of the this prostate gland, it means semen, it is acidic in nature. So again, you can choose any of the either paths. So that's all about the prostate gland, and then we'll go for the Cooper's gland. And one last thing, that this prostate gland, it discharges its secretion directly into the urethra. It means that if you see the figure, the prostate gland, it directly discharges its secretion into the urethra. It has a duct connected behind and it secretes the semen and it discharges it into the urethra directly. And so the semen along with the sperms, they meet in the urethra and they go towards the penis. So once more, there is nothing to tell about Cooper's gland. It is just a gland, a pair of small glands actually, which are lying below the prostate gland. We saw in the figure, it lies below the prostate gland, and its secretion is slightly alkaline in nature, and the function of its secretion, it serves as a lubricant. Now what that means, that it helps as a lubricant for the vagina. It nourishes the vagina, and this helps in the smooth movement of penis during copulation. During copulation, for the smooth movement of penis, this the secretion of the Cooper's gland, which is alkaline in nature, it helps as lubricant. So basically it is used in copulation, and there is no role in the semen or sperms. That this secretion is just by seminal vesicles and prostate gland. They help in the nourishment of the sperms and all. Cooper's gland, they just help in lubricating the vagina. And with this, we complete our male reproductive organs. While writing about the male reproductive organs, once again, you just make a figure and then write in detail about the testis, about the protective layers, about the external structure, about the histology, and just 2-3 lines about all these things. And if you want to make the figure of penis, you can make, but it will be just a burden, so it's not necessary to make the figure of these erectile tissues. So with this, we end this chapter. Thank you, and do not forget to subscribe the channel.